Upon signing the Economic Opportunity Act of 1964 and declaring unconditional war on poverty, President Lyndon Baines Johnson made these remarks. For so long as man has lived on this earth, poverty has been his curse. On every continent, in every age, men have sought escape from poverty's oppression. Today, for the first time in all the history of the human race, a great nation is able to make and is willing to make a commitment to eradicate poverty among its people. And with that same unwavering commitment to continuing the fight, I say, good morning, community action. I am Berna P. Best, Program Operations Branch Chief for the Division of Community Services within the Office of Community Services, and I am both humbled and thrilled to serve as your Mistress of Ceremonies as we commemorate the 60th anniversary of Community Action. And in true community action fashion, we are going to pivot and quickly adjust our regularly scheduled program because we have an unprecedented breaking development. At this time, I have the extraordinary honor to introduce Dr. Meg Sullivan, who serves as counselor to the Health and Human Services Secretary, Becerra, who has an impressive and extensive background with years of experience in public health, global health, health policy, and expertise in health preparedness, immigrant and refugee health, health equity, community health, human services, and economic mobility. Let's give her both a virtual and in-person round of applause and appreciation for her adjusting her schedule to share in this historic moment for community action.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. You are hard to follow. Thank you. And that introduction was not deserved. I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes reading something that I think is incredibly exciting. I'll first just say, so I'm Meg Sullivan. I serve as a counselor to Secretary Becerra, including for the Administration for Children and Families. And one of the things that I do is issues that are urgent or time sensitive, I raise to the secretary, and I get to celebrate so much of the amazing work that happens. I will say though, ACF, and more specifically, all of the work that you do often gets unseen, right? There's so much work that is happening. And even though I think the secretary is so engaged and so impressed with everything that happens, there's no way that he knows, that the White House knows everything that happens. Today, we're trying to change that. I know today is 60 years since that incredibly impressive introduction and what President Johnson then said. And there's no way to recognize all of the work that is done. But what I'm holding right here, and I'm going to read, is a proclamation from President Biden that recognizes that work. So I just want to spend a moment just trying to, I can't say it, definitely if the president says it better, but just reading his words. So, dated May 1st, 2024. I'm proud to recognize this May as Community Action Month. Every year, over 1,000 community action agencies across the country work tirelessly to reduce the causes and conditions of poverty. With support from the Community Services Block Grant, CAAs make a key difference in the lives of millions of Americans, providing housing, nutrition, utility, and transportation assistance, improving access to employment and education services, supporting people during crises, and more. These agencies are vital resources for so many, and I remain committed to providing them with the support they need to uplift their communities. My administration has made it a priority to invest in the CSBG, helping ensure that CAAs can deliver life-changing services to the people they support. We have more than doubled our investment in the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, which provides CAAs with funding to help families afford their energy bills. My administration also launched the Low-Income Household Water Assistance Program, a critical initiative CAAs use to expand access to affordable water. And as we continue to build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, we are going to keep working with partners at CAAs to ensure our efforts are benefiting all communities. I've never been more optimistic about America's prospects than I am today, in part because of the selfless spirit of the women and men who serve the people and the communities they love through their work at CAAs. This month and every month, may we thank them for their dedication to forging a more just and equitable future for all. I'm going to hand this over to you to say, on behalf, I am not President Biden, but on behalf of President Biden and on Secretary Becerra, no words could say thank you enough for everything that you do every day. And truly, it has been an incredible 60 years, and I have no idea, or no doubt, sorry, that the work is just going to continue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And while I'm choking back tears, and because I should not be holding this, I'm going to ask if our deputy director would just come and hold it and take it with you so that I don't mess up this moment. And I would also ask that we leave it on the screen just for a moment. This is so historic. I am really choking back tears. In all of the years, I've never known the president to acknowledge the great work that we collectively are doing in this space. And for those online, you might want to take a screenshot of this. We want to make sure that our virtual audience gets it. We want to thank Meg and Martine for being here, for changing your schedule. Let's applaud them again and thank them for joining us today. And somehow, Mr. President, if you are listening, thank you so very much for acknowledging the great work of community action. What a way to begin our celebration. Is this not amazing? Woo-hoo-hoo. Okay, let me take a moment and let us all take a moment to just breathe in receiving an acknowledgement from the President of the United States. And while we bask in that moment, I would ask you to think just for a moment, what comes to your mind when you hear the term community action? And let's engage around that for a moment. Just look at each other and talk about what word is it that you think about when you think about community action. And if you're online in our virtual audience, we would encourage you to put those words in the chat. But someone in the room, tell me what you think about when you think about community action, when you hear that. Engagement. Motivation. Mobilization. Organizing. Hope. Love. Dignity. Grassroots. Perseverance. Comprehensive. Opportunity for all. OCS, I love it. Okay, thank you all for engaging with that moment. We have so many special guests helping us to crystallize this climatic time in our history. And one of those persons is graphic recorder Mark Korsak from CN Colors. He is in the back of our room. I hope you can zoom in on him for our virtual audience. He will be listening and capturing our celebration through graphics. He will record our celebration with hand-drawn pictures and text. These visual images will help us remember what we experienced, what we learned, and what we may consider doing in the future. So technology, if you have zoomed in, I want you to zoom in just to make sure our virtual audience gets a chance to see him. We encourage those of you in the room to periodically go back and take a look at what he's doing, take pictures of that. We are going to receive a hard copy that we will also make digital, and we plan to display this around the country and in various settings throughout the year as we celebrate. So can you all join me real quickly in thanking Mark and Lisa, who is the founder, I believe, of CN Colors, is also in the back with us. So thank you so very much for being here with us today. Okay. One more quick activity as we prepare to hear from our leadership. We would like to know how many years of experience we collectively have with community action programs. So either by poll, in the room, in the chat, let us know how many years you have worked in or supported community action. And if you're in the room, you can just shout out your numbers. 18, 19, 20, my whole life. 25, my whole life. 16, did I hear 16? 16. What else do we have? Do we have anybody in the room with more than 40 years? It was a setup. How many years? 49 years. So I'm doing the quick math, and with what I see online and what I hear in the room, I'm calculating, even though we have only been in this work for 60 years, I think we have 666,045 years of experience for community action. Okay, but I really have no doubt that with our collective experience, we have everything we need to make sure that our families and communities have access to the best available resources to succeed and thrive. So thank you for all of the work that you're doing. It's been said that a leader knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. And a leader who epitomizes that quote is Sharice Johnson, the Director of the Division of Community Services here in the Office of Community Services. She is my supervisor, but I think of her as a BOSS boss. Brilliant, overachieving, stalwart servant with a passion for commitment to children and families navigating the causes and conditions of poverty. With a background that includes many connections to the Community Action Network, inclusive of being a former deputy and early Head Start director for a local community action agency, Ms. Johnson is well respected and a gift to the Community Action Network. Let's welcome her as she greets us this morning.
Okay, Verna, I feel really encouraged and motivated. Good morning, Community Action. I am so happy to be here and speak to all, thank you, and speak to all of you as a part of the kickoff of the National Community Action Month and to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the passage of the Economic Opportunity Act on behalf of the Office of Community Services under the leadership of Dr. Laniqua Howard and Janelle George. And we all want to thank you for joining us and being a part of this celebration today. So let's clap again. We have people on the line from across the country who are joining us today. Currently, we have approximately 184 people on the line from across the nation in this celebration this morning. That is amazing, along with all the people in the room. So I'm asking the people in the room to wave at the people online, and the people online try to wave, but y'all won't see them. And it's also amazing that we have some of our other offices in this room today. We have the Office of Grants Management. We have the Office of Planning, Research, and Evaluation. We have some of our OCS offices, divisions in here, OCS. And it's just amazing to see the people. And if I missed anybody, I apologize, but it's so wonderful to see you. And then you're gonna get to learn from other people that are in this room today and how important they are in carrying out this work. But before we get started, let's take a moment to sit with this knowledge. 60 years ago, President Johnson first declared a war on poverty, and along with that, shared the powerful responsibility of alleviating poverty and supporting self-sufficiency with the establishment of community action. That makes you want to cry. 60 years ago. Today, we are here to recognize that historic moment in time when communities were called to action by the establishment of community action agencies. 60 years ago, community action agencies are viewed as pillars of hope, a safe place to receive support and guidance. Community action agencies symbolize opportunity and a place where all can be seen and heard. All includes individuals, youth, families, seniors, grandparents, mothers, fathers, uncles, aunts, friends, and neighbors, many of whom have or will be touched by the magic of community action. 60 years later, we're still doing that great work. I'm sure you are starting to kind of hear and feel why we're here today, from the president to the people in this room, to the people online. We are here to stand together and say we are proud of the work that we've been able to accomplish over the years and the work that is ahead of us. I'm sure you're starting to feel that you are appreciated, everyone in this room and everyone online, and that we appreciate you every day from the federal office perspective of the work you do to carry out the work of CSBG to meet the needs of vulnerable individuals and families. I've been a part of community action since the late 90s. I know that's hard to me. Yeah. I wasn't born in 2000 like some of you all. I've told many throughout my career that the experience I had when I worked in the CAA was amazing and transformational. I've applied all I learned into all of my work: upstream support systems, community action; whole family approach, community action; support to families to meet their needs, community action; establishing protective factors for families and youth, community action; safety net services for all, community action; and most impressive, people who care about people, people who listen to people, and people who see people. That to me is community action. Another. Dr. Laniqua Howard could not be here with us today as she's preparing to bring 2 babies into her family. Please know she is not happy that she's not here, but she can't be here. Just want to be clear about that. She is channeling, however, energy, positive energy, to support this gathering today and to support all activities that we're planning throughout the month. Under Dr. Howard's leadership, over the last 3 years, OCS has attended more than 100 site visits, met directly with state, territory, and tribal administrators, and visited local agencies. Dr. Howard has talked with many of you in this room and on the line today about the great work you're doing. The time spent together with OCS and the communities across the country was to explore how we can continue to support the highest quality of programming across the Community Action Network and OCS programming beyond just CSBG. As you all know, when we talk about the Office of Community Services, we talk about one OCS, because all of the services that we offer are here to support and enable families to move beyond the conditions of poverty. I'm positive if she was here today, she would share how proud she is to be a part of the network. You all have heard that before. Pleased with the amazing work you do to support the most vulnerable individuals and families and communities. And thank you for your commitment and dedication. Not only does Dr. Howard see your remarkable work, the immediate office of the Assistant Secretary also sees your impeccable work. And here's a message from Jeff Hill, Acting Assistant Secretary for ACF. So as the video is coming up, we ask everybody to be here with us today. We thought that everyone would want to be a part of this momentous occasion. And so we look forward to you hearing also from our Acting Assistant Secretary, Jeff Hill.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Hill, the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Administration for Children and Families, and I also have the honor of performing the duties of the Assistant Secretary.
I'm sure the video is going to continue, but I'm going to go ahead with my remarks. And what a great response we've had from leadership in HHS and ACF, as well as the Office of Community Services today. We have partners in the room. We have people that we have come from afar to be a part of this convening today. So what amazing opportunities we have. But I just want to say,
Hi,
there's
everyone.
great
I'm Jeff Hill, the
responsi-
Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Administration for Children. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Hill, the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Administration for Children and Families, and I also have the honor of performing the duties of the Assistant Secretary at ACF. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Hill.
So I think you know that is our our acting assistant secretary. And he really wanted to be here today, but he's on travel. I think he is on the West Coast, if I'm not mistaken. He's in Alaska. He's in Alaska. Okay, he's on the West Coast. So just to continue, so from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you all for being here today. I want to thank you all for supporting the great work, no matter where it was in your life when you first engaged with community action, and your dedication, your concerted actions to serve individuals, families, and communities with low income, with perseverance and a pulse on innovation, being creative and being thoughtful as the world is changing. We all have been a part of those changes. ACF, OCS, and the network can continue working to assist families and communities reach their fullest potential over the next few years. We've got more work to do. It may not be 60 more years of poverty, but it may be 10 or 5, but we have work to do. And while the war on poverty continues to go on throughout the month of May, ACF and OCS will continue to call special attention to how CAAs and the CSP network provides life-changing services to millions of Americans, and to the powerful impact of CSBG and Community Action and the Community Action Network in alleviating poverty in America. Take time during Community Action Month to showcase your strengths. I know things are already underway. I know you're planning all across the country. But take time to do that. Invite your partners, invite your communities into space just to talk and reminisce around how much progress we've made, and also start to prepare for the future. Celebrate in the knowledge that your efforts have identified and a myriad of services that you've been able to provide. Some new services, sometimes we're replicating services, whatever the case may be. Just reflect on what your agency has been able to accomplish. Remain focused, and I'm going to say this in the spirit of Denise. She said this, Denise Harlow, she's in the room. Take care of yourselves so that you can take care of others, and together we can make a difference. So thank you for being here today, and thank you for celebrating with us. Berna?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Hill, the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Administration for Children and Families, and I also have the honor of performing the duties of the Assistant Secretary at ACF. At ACF, our mission is to make sure that every child, family, and community in this country is resilient, safe, and has the ability to thrive. And that's what community action is all about. When I think about community action agencies, I think about a no wrong door that exists in every community that meets families where they're most vulnerable and gives them a step back up. So I'm so happy to wish you 60th anniversary community action.
So pop quiz, who was that? Thank you so much, Sharice, for all you do to advance our
Hi,
collective
everyone.
work.
I'm Jeff Hill, the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Administration for Children.
Thank you, Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary Jeff Hill, for coming and being with us today in many forms and fashions. But we also want to thank you, Sharice, for bringing the voice of our impeccable leader, Dr. Laniqua Howard, into this space. And Dr. Howard, if you are watching, please know that we are sending you positive vibes and so much appreciation as we eagerly await the arrival of those two destined to be poverty fighters. We know that this network has advanced tremendously because of your vision and commitment. And I personally want to let you know, Dr. Howard, if you are listening, We, everyone on the line and everyone in this room, we see you, and we recognize that this day was made possible because of you. So please join me again in showing our appreciation for our impeccable leader, Dr. Laniqua Howard. I'm almost scared to move on because I feel like I'm gonna hear, "Hi, everybody, I'm who?" And so we just mentioned Dr. Howard, and behind every strong director is a supportive deputy director. And our next speaker, Janelle George, does not disappoint. With nearly 20 years of service in the Office of Community Services, Ms. George works tirelessly to strengthen the administration and managerial support provided to all OCS divisions and programs. Her practical and plausible approach to our work keeps us productive and prudent. Let's welcome Janelle and glean from her experience in this network.
Thank you so much, Verna. Good morning, Community Action. Good morning, Community Action. All right, that's better. It is my absolute pleasure to be here today and just to take part in such an historic occasion. I will tell you from the very beginning of my 19-year tenure with OCS, it became very clear to me through CSBG network engagements, through site visits, that community action, the power of community action is making a difference across the country. That's right. I am here to tell you that community action is still alive and well. I know this because I had the honor of visiting a variety of state administrators, a variety of grant recipients and community action agencies this year and last year. And during these visits, I witnessed firsthand the variety of services and resources that were being offered. I witnessed the unique and innovative ways that CSBG funds were being used to meet the needs of individuals, families, and communities. And I will just tell you, whether it was supporting older adults with transportation to get to their medical appointments, or some unique and innovative programs for youth to help build their self-esteem and help them move towards being productive adults, maintaining community action services during natural disasters, which we all know can be devastating and really take a toll, not only on the community, but the very people in the community action agencies that are providing services. We often forget that those individuals are in need as well, even though they're providing the services. So again, community action indeed alive and well. I will tell you also that I have been particularly drawn to the work and activities of our tribes and our tribal organizations. I had the opportunity to visit tribes as well as a few community action agencies in the state of Michigan, as well as Alaska. And I want to name them because I'm hoping they're online so that they can know and appreciate how much we appreciated them opening their doors to us. So I had the opportunity to visit Intertribal Council of Michigan, as well as Sault Ste. Marie of Chippewa Indians, and the Chippewa-Loos Mackinac Community Action Agency in Michigan. Also, when I was in Alaska, I visited with the Kenaitze Indian tribes, as well as Bristol Bay Native Association. And I will tell you, through all of those visits, regardless of state, there was one constant that remained. All of them, every single one of them, exhibited a commitment and just this high level of tenacity to get the work done, to provide services, and do all of that while navigating unique and extreme environmental and climate challenges that most of us will only see on the news or read about. I will tell you that before I went, I thought I knew, but it is something very different to see what our community action agencies and their community members must do to overcome and deal with some of the things that are just their natural winners. It's truly something that is amazing. I will tell you that I was also very appreciative of their commitment to community and culture. They experience harsh winters, and they know that this is happening everywhere, every year. So they did what they needed to do by adjusting their hours to make sure that they can meet the needs of the communities. You saw this quite often in the summer times because many of the tribes that are in rural communities, they have to take time during the late summer to harvest berries, to hunt. In Alaska, ground beef is about $10 to $15 a pound. So if you don't kill a moose, before the winter, I should say hunting season ends, you won't have meat during that winter. So all of these things they take into account, and they adjust their schedules to be sensitive to the needs of the communities as well as the tribal members that work at the organizations providing the services, because they have to harvest as well. Again, each visit really just showed me the dynamic power of the Community Action Network, and again, its ability to impact positive change on the individuals and families that are served. They really did work that sort of illuminated this pathway to prosperity for many who thought that that was not going to be an option. The power of community action is seeing CSBG funds being used to create some anti-poverty strategies that are really tailored to the unique needs of the community. They take on a holistic approach, not just taking into account the one person that walks into the door, but the entire family, community that is in need of services, and really applying short-term and long-term solutions, all the while using other OCS programs, blending and braiding services like through our LIHEAP and LIWAP program to provide all of the resources that are necessary to the families that come through their door. The power of community action, and I'm going to keep saying that, and I hope you say it with me. It is the reality that an individual can enter into a CAA in need and in their most vulnerable state. They will leave with resources, information that serves as a seed of hope, something that they thought would not be addressed. And it impacts them on a personal level, in some instances on a professional level, because we know we do a lot regarding job skills and training. And it's community action that is serving as what I'd like to consider not just planting seeds of hope, but also the follow-up work is sort of the fertilizer that makes sure that all that they give grows in our individuals, families, and communities. The Community Action Network also partners with OCS to address a number of equity issues. And equity, particularly when you think about access to services, implementing strategies that are going to be innovative to support our families. And more specifically, really being innovative to help those that are historically and disproportionately either not considered or left out. And really working to address barriers that are impeding their ability towards self-determination and economic mobility. Through the efforts that are put forth through OCS and the Community Action Network, we have been also partnering with ACF agencies, ACF offices, including the Administration for Native and American Families. We have been participating in training and supporting training, and I believe we have in the room our tribal training and technical assistance providers, Lux. If you are here, if you could please stand. We are so appreciative of your work. We recognize the importance of being intentional about meeting the needs of all our grant recipients and communities. And it's important to have that subject matter expertise. It's important to be sensitive to cultures and communities that may be different than our own, but still deserve the same attention, support, as we go through this journey to work with families and move them to the next level out of poverty. I will say to support and preserve the power of community action, OCS will continue to listen to the voices from the field. We will continue to foster collaboration, not only between us, but with other federal agencies, because we hear you, we know it's important for us to not work in a vacuum if we're gonna make the most of meeting our families' needs. And it's particularly important due to this ever-changing landscape of poverty and the changing landscape of resources that are made available to help us meet those needs. OCS remains dedicated to this effort. We are really dedicated to making sure we're supporting even the most vulnerable communities. And alongside with the Community Action Network, we want to just continue to work on a daily basis to implement things like evidence-based practices. We want to keep equality as a central focus of the work that we do, the work that you do, the work that we do together. And again, all of this is needed in order to sustain the power of community action. With that, I have the pleasure to help you better understand the significance of community action in terms of the tribal communities. I am introducing Hope McDonald Lonetree, who serves as the Deputy Commissioner for the Administration for Native Americans, and she oversees the agency's operations and management responsibilities. Prior to her current position as an enrolled member of the Navajo Nation, Deputy Commissioner McDonald Lonetree served her people through the Office of the Speaker, 24th Navajo Nation Council on special projects and initiatives that include public safety, public health, and veterans. She's provided expert analysis and guidance as a tribal relations advisor for the U.S. Department of Justice, where she worked with tribal leaders and their communities on criminal justice issues. Her wealth of knowledge and experience in tribal and government affairs was instrumental during the 2 four-year terms as a councilwoman on the 20th and 21st Navajo Nation Councils. During her service as a councilwoman, she served on numerous committees and subcommittees and broke the gender barrier by being the first woman elected to lead the Public Safety Committee. Soon thereafter, she was elected by her tribal leader, peers, to co-chair DOJ's Office of Justice Programs, Tribal Justice Advisory Group. In 2010, she served on the U.S. Attorney General's Tribal Nations Leadership Council, continuing her advocacy for victims of crime, restorative justice, and improving the federal response. Deputy Commissioner McDonald Lonetree was the first Native American to be elected to the executive board and to serve as vice president of the National Foundation for Women Legislators. She has received numerous public service recognitions and honors, including the 2013 Elected Women of Excellence from the National Foundation of Women Legislators and Arizona Citizen of the Year from the National Association of Social Workers. With that, I ask that we all remain focused, that again, as Verna shared, take good care of yourselves, and again, know that we see you and that OCS is here to work alongside with you. Happy anniversary, Community Action. And I now ask that you please join me in welcoming Deputy Commissioner Hope McDonald Lonetree.
Thank you, Janelle. I really appreciate that wonderful introduction. I hope you can all hear me. Can you? Yeah. Wonderful. Well, Shea Hope McDonald Lone Tree Yin Shia. Kodachini Nishle, Hashkahan Soho Bashashin, Nathan Edishache, Ado Batani Edishanella. As Janelle stated, I am from the Navajo Nation. I am excited to be with you today. All of you who are on a mission, right? We're all on a mission here. And I cannot help but congratulate each of you for every day that you get up and you feel a sense of purpose coming to work here to create an impact in the communities that we serve. And so I consider all of us boots on the ground to some extent because we want to have a big impact. So I'm happy to be with you today to celebrate the 60 years that you have been here. But I also want to give a little bit of history on some of the reasons why the ANA exists as well. In January of 1964, as you all heard earlier, President Lyndon Johnson declared the war on poverty. It was a collection of ideals that ultimately laid the foundation for ANA, if you didn't know that. 8 months later, the Economic Opportunity Act, which was mentioned earlier, was signed into law, and shortly thereafter, the Office of Economic Opportunity. Those were all important moves to help communities with all of the action that needed to be happening. And they began to award grants. But missing from this collective action, however, was a program solely focused on Native communities. As we all know and are becoming more aware through education and awareness, that extreme trauma was suffered by the Indigenous people of the US, and that created enormous generational trauma and had an impact with the individual lives, families, and communities. So it is not surprising that throughout the 1960s, American Indians were the nation's poorest population group and suffered the worst disparities on every socioeconomic measure. In 1970, the unemployment rate for Native American people were 10 times the national average, and 40% of the Native population lived below the poverty line. So this was very important in the early 70s, and the Office of Economic Opportunity was terminated, but its war on poverty concepts became the basis for ANA, or the Administration for Native Americans. In 1974, through the strong advocacy of tribal leaders and Native American activists, Indian country and Native communities finally came to the forefront of Congress's attention. Now, I want to pause here for a moment because when I first came to ANA 3 years ago, I was learning much more about ANA that I knew. I knew ANA mostly as a grant program, but when I started looking at the history and I saw the name Sergeant Shriver listed in our history, it immediately set off a light bulb because as I was growing up, my father worked very closely with Sergeant Shriver to disseminate these grants across the Navajo Nation. And many, many of these programs were permanently established and are today a great framework for the government programs that serve the people who are in most need across the Navajo Nation. And this is true for other tribal communities at that time as well. So tribal leaders back then, including my father, were those who worked closely with Sergeant Shriver to really talk to members of Congress and let them know that this was important to make it permanent. And so I am so proud, not just the work that was done back in the early 70s, but also how I am and you are a part of the work that has come out of that. And so the Native American Programs Act of 1974 embraced these ideals of President Johnson and his war on poverty and recognized the values of tribal self-determination. NAPA established the Administration of Native Americans to promote social well-being and economic development throughout Native communities, including Native American and Alaska tribes, Native Hawaiians, and Indigenous Pacific Islanders. ANA fulfills this mission by investing in community-defined, and I want to say that again, community-defined and community-driven projects. So as we're all celebrating community action, we all know that this is the best efforts really come from something that is community defined and driven. So again, we know that builds capacity, it preserves culture and language, and enhances environmental resources. These investments are delivered through 5 main grant programs at ANA: the Social and Economic Development Strategies, Environmental Regulatory Enhancement, Language Preservation and Maintenance, and the Esther Martinez Language Immersion programs. These are all important to what we do, and I applaud OCS as being our partner with community action and the resources that we afford to the community. So again, thank you for all that you do. We are very proud of the SEDS grant program that we have and the investments that we've had over the years. And we're especially proud this year that we have made a significant change that really is going to make it easier for our grantees. We have simplified it, reduced the burdens. We're also making sure that we are listening to the tribal leaders and the community members, as well as our grantees, and how we are administering these grants internally. And so now we are fully funding our grants so that our grantees no longer have to apply every year. We're excited about that, and we really are hopeful that we continue to collectively build on these efforts to reduce the burdens and make it easier for our tribal communities, Native communities, Indigenous communities to access these types of resources that we have. I'm very proud also that our commissioner has really led this effort at ANA to reduce this burdens, and we have done that because on December 6th of 2023, the White House, President Biden, announced and signed the Executive Order 14112 on reforming federal funding and support for tribal nations to better embrace our trust responsibilities and promote the next era of tribal self-determination. The executive order directs federal agencies and programs to reform federal policies and regulations to better support tribal nations by reducing bureaucratic burdens and impediments to accessing federal funding. This effort to reduce burdens and to make it easier to access the funding and resources is a critical part of addressing fairness and justice, which are all at the very heart of equity. We're so excited and we're happy to be a part of this administration who has had unprecedented level of investments in Indian country. And so we are hoping that we are all going to continue to work hard together to implement the elements of the Executive Order 14112. So with more to come on that, and we are excited that our commissioner continues to be a leader with that executive order and really helping us apply it here at ACF. We are excited also that we are partners in what we do on the ground in the communities, and we hope that we can continue to work together to make things smooth, accessible, and that our communities are impacted in the most positive way so that they are feel that this is a part of our home. We have a common home, and also that every morning that we wake up, it is for the love of others and the love that we have for our families, our communities, and our nation. And again, congratulations on your 60 years, OCS. We're proud to be your partner, and we look forward to all the many years that we will continue to help our Indigenous communities build upon what they need to become economically self-determined, but also that they will be able to utilize our resources to further some of their really most unique programs for their culture, language, and jobs. So thank you again, and I look forward to working with you again. Congratulations, Dr. Howard, on your expanding family, and thank you, Janelle, for inviting me.
Wow. Thank you, Deputy Commissioner McDonald Lonetree. And thank you, Janelle, for all the work you do. We want you both to know that we see you and we appreciate you. So let's show our appreciation again. The relationship between the Community Services Block Grant and Head Start in the community action world is almost like that of cousins, in that there's a close connection and bond that makes us family. And we are proud to share that type of collaborative connection with Kari Garvin, the director of the Office of Head Start at the Administration of Children and Families at the United States Department of Health and Human Services. Let's see what Director Garvin would like to say to us today.
To Dr. Laniqua Howard and my colleagues at the Office of Community Services, I am so disappointed that I could not be here with you in person to celebrate such an important event. But please accept a hearty congratulations from me for 60 years of community action. I understand better than anyone how community action and Head Start being birthed out of the same legislation, we share the same goals, the same desires for eradicating poverty, and I understand the importance of this moment. 60 years of declaring war on poverty, job well done. Keep up the good work, and thank you. To Dr. Laniqua Howard and my colleagues.
I don't know what it is. But we are so pleased to partner with the Office of Head Start, and we are appreciative to Kari for being able to join our celebration virtually. And I would just like to say that my son was an early Head Start and Head Start baby. So I can say from personal experience that both Head Start works and community action works. So thank you again, Director Garvin, for joining us virtually. Let's share our appreciation for him one more time. And speaking of partners, we have so many incredible partners, both virtually and in person. And at this time, I would like to formally acknowledge 3 of our partners who are with us today. Please join me in applauding Cheryl Williams, who leads the National Association for State Community Services Programs. Denise Harlow, who serves as the Chief Executive Officer of the National Community Action Partnership. And Allison Maloof, who heads the Community Action Program Legal Services Incorporated as the Executive Director. I wanted to make sure I got all of those names and titles pristinely correct. I would ask if the 3 of you would please stand so that our virtual audience can see you. And I'm also going to ask you to step forward here for me, please. Yes, and thank you. I'm going to ask my colleagues, Manette, Galindo, and Melissa Joseph, to present each of you certificates of appreciation. As right in here, don't look at me. I want you right in here. We want to let you know that on behalf of Dr. Howard and the entire Office of Community Services, we want to let you know that we see you too. We appreciate you, and we look forward to advancing this work alongside of you. I would also ask, as my colleagues come to present your certificates, that your staff members from NASCAS and NCAP and CAP Law to also stand so that we can acknowledge you. We know that you all will share remarks with us a bit later, but it was important for us to pause and thank you for your contributions and your commitment to eradicating poverty. Oh, that's what we're doing?
One, two, three.
Okay. See, that's what happens when the 3 branch chiefs get together and do something. That's just how we come together. But again, for our national partners, can we applaud them and thank them for all of the great work that you do? I simply cannot express my excitement about our next guests. The Below-It Fresh Start Youth Build Program of Wisconsin's Community Action Agency, under the inspirational leadership of Mr. Mark Perry, who is joined by Nakia Morton and Elena Henry, who are movers and shakers within the organization, as well as Lourdes Flores-Tello, an alum of the program, who is just doing great things. We will hear from you all just a little bit later, but right now, I want to introduce to you Markai Thompson and Riley Kramer, who Dr. Howard has affectionately named them Mr. President and Mr. Vice President. Markai Thompson is a current member of the Beloit Fresh Start program who is on track for graduation in June of 2024. Markai applied to the program during a time when his relationship with law enforcement helped him realize that he was headed down the wrong path and needed to make a change. Once in the program, he demonstrated strong leadership skills and was elected as the class president. Markai continues to advocate for his class to ensure their collective success. This spring, he started work experience with Remax Ignite Realtor, and he plans to go into the construction and real estate business after graduation. Markai plans to become a full-time AmeriCorps teacher assistant with the Beloit Fresh Start while working to obtain his real estate license. Also, you can clap. Riley Kramer is also a current member of the Beloit Fresh Start program who is on track for graduation in June of 2024. He heard about Fresh Start through friends who previously graduated from the program. Riley chose the program because he felt that he was misunderstood at the local high school, and he literally needed a fresh start to make positive changes in his life. Riley started the program off with strong leadership skills, which led to his election as the class vice president. He continues to be a voice of change within the program. Riley plans to take a gap year after graduation and continue working to build his financial resources before enrolling into college. So community action, let's welcome these aspiring young leaders to the podium so that in their own way, they can share with us their experiences. But before they come forward, let's turn our attention to a spotlight video created with the support of Wisconsin community, with Wisconsin's CSBG State Administrator, Lauren Frederick, who is joining us virtually as we spotlight the work of the Community Action Incorporated Fresh Start Youth Build program. And if you watch carefully, you'll see Markai and Riley in action. Let's take a look.
All right, y'all, be loud. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Youth build. Motivation. Dedication. Who's the best? Who's the best? Who?
Youth Build is an amazing program that really targets young people who struggle in traditional classroom settings. The focus of the program is kind of 3 areas. We have our academic focus, which is helping youth complete their education. We have a focus on service learning and community service, so requiring our youth to do about 450 hours of community service in the community. And then our Youth Build program focuses on the construction trade. We build a house once a year with each Fresh Start cohort, and then we sell that house to a low-income family to increase home ownership opportunities.
Hey, your journal topic is who do you trust most in the world and why?
Many of the barriers originate from issues at home, so unstable housing situations, unstable family situations that don't allow them to really concentrate and focus on school. So thinking about being food insecure or not being sure where you're going to stay the night, thinking about whether or not there's family violence in your home, drug addiction, mental illness, those are all the things that distract our young people.
Today is going to be wrapping up reading packets.
It's not that they can't perform academically, it's that the distractions keep them from doing so. So when they come here, one of the things we focus on is trying to address those issues so they can focus primarily on their academic work and the other programming that we have here. Well, CSBG is critically important for a number of reasons. One, CSBG was used as the seed money to start our Fresh Start program back in 2006. So without that, I don't know that we would have had the initial resources to begin. The other thing about CSBG is that anything that other grants won't cover, especially basic needs like food, clothing, shelter, we're able to use CSBG to fill in. And then students who are looking at additional education, CSBG is able to provide those resources where some other grants won't.
I think the advantage of having Fresh Start located within the Community Action Agency is all of those additional services that we are able to wrap around. Because we partner with so many people in the community, it makes it easier because we're already doing it on different levels, and then we really can truly wrap our hands around our students at the end of the day based off of what their needs are and what we're hearing from them.
Historically, Fresh Start has a 91% graduation rate. That rate's increased our last couple of cohorts. So this year we have a cohort of 42, and we're hoping that all 42 graduate. They're on track. We have a lot of students this year that have perfect attendance already through the first several months.
I want the world to know that a student is more than just what their life situation is. They are capable of doing so much if you give them the tools to do so. Given the proper tools and given the proper guidance and the proper support, these students can shine in any situation.
Without Fresh Start, I would probably be still skipping school or struggling very bad and possibly repeating my senior year.
I remember when you first came to interview and sat down, and I said to myself, this young man, I think will do great. You had a motivation behind you, you had a keen interest in the program, and we enjoyed that because we saw that motivation.
I really didn't think I was gonna be the best candidate for this. I needed a fresh start. I wanted to prove that, like, I'm not gonna be a fluke in school. I can finish school, I can do it if I get the chance. Hey, this one snapped. I say my biggest learning would probably being a leader, that I can be the leader that I can be, what I can push myself to be. 22, we're at 3. I was bringing the energy to the program, me and Markai, making everybody else think that, okay, this ain't just something I'm gonna drag myself through. We gonna be a family and do this together. So it kind of just came with getting into the program. 14.
My life was out on the downhill route. Like, my life was going all the way down. I was tripping, really. I was doing bad things. I was in the streets. I was really a whole different person, to be honest. One day I got up and I just decided it was time to change. Without Fresh Start, I would definitely be a dropout right now. I'd be dropout, I'd be doing wrong, I'd be in the streets. It would be horrible. Fresh Start has done so much for me. Like, honestly, I've never been class president. Went to school probably 3 months out of 3 years of high school. I got 100% attendance right now. Fresh Start is really a lifesaver. Like, they saved my life, I can say.
I would ask, and you're already doing it, that you stand and welcome. I'm gonna ask Mr. President Markai, if you will come here, Mr. Vice President Riley, if you will go here, and I'm gonna allow you all to speak to our audience in your own way. Let's welcome them again. I'm so excited.
Hi, my name is Riley Kramer. I'm currently attending Fresh Start this year. This is my story. During my 8th grade year, COVID happened and I had to finish my 8th grade year online, as that was the only choice I had. Going into my freshman year of high school, things still weren't back to regular. We had A days and B days, which were alternate days where one day was online and the next was in person. And during those days, I was put into classes where teachers would teach but wouldn't help. Going into my sophomore year, I was playing football, doing okay, keeping my grades up. Then one day I had an incident in school, and ever since that incident, I felt okay, I felt I was picked on more by teachers. This was when I decided I would stop going more and more every day so I could stop getting in trouble. There was an incident within my friend group, which resulted in half of my friend group going our separate ways. So I really stopped going. By my junior year, I was able to convince my principal to put me online schooling. When I switched to fully online, I started doing good in school again. While I was doing my schoolwork at home, some of my friends were attending Fresh Start, a program called Fresh Start, and I started doing my research on what the program was and how I go into to apply for the program. Going into my interview, my Fresh Start interview, I didn't know what to expect. I was thinking if I told them what I had went through, they wouldn't want me here. But it was the complete opposite. As soon as I sat down, they let me know that I don't need to hold back any truth because they're not going to hold that against me. They wanted to know me and my mindset. Once I had my first interview, I knew this is where I needed to be to have a restart and do it the right way. I set goals for myself, and Fresh Start was and is my first priority. I got accepted into the program. I later found out a family friend, Markai, also did as well. Once we started Mental Toughness, me and Markai both tried to take over and be confident leaders of the program. What Fresh Start has done for me up to this point that I am so grateful for, I've met colleges, jobs, and military branches. Fresh Start has helped me find out what I want to be, showed me there is a way I can still go to college. The connections you get to meet with, they will help you pay for gas to get to school. They give me all the equipment and clothes I need. The connections with the staff to the students is excellent. I don't think there's a student in my group that doesn't feel they don't have a staff they can go to. They are so good. The staff are so good at their job, discipline and education. They are good set. They have a good set schedule and are good with helping one-on-one time. The teachers give us so much opportunity that they don't have to give us. Fresh Start has been the best change for me, and I can call them my family.
Hi, my name is Markai Thompson. Nice to meet y'all and see y'all today. For me, my story really, it started off pretty good, actually. You know, my mom was always there for me, doing everything I need. My dad had some problems in and out the streets, in and out of prison, but he always tried. I can say he always tried to be there. And a lot for me, like going through school, it was good. I was really good in elementary school, getting all good grades, doing all the right things. I lost my grandma, and I lost her in 4th grade. I went into 5th grade year. I started getting like C's instead of A's and B's, not doing as good as I was supposed to and as good as I was doing before. And that really, I never really thought it meant nothing, but thinking about my past and the situations, a lot of losing people really did affect me more than I thought. I never thought it could affect me that much because I never tried to let it affect me. I would just push to the side and keep on moving, you know? So I'm doing okay, still not doing nothing really bad for real. I get into 6th grade, I'm doing okay. Then I start fighting and I start getting in trouble. 7th, 8th grade, still fighting, getting in trouble. And then we go into COVID. Now, COVID was really like a setback for me because COVID really stopped me from going to school, made me like not really want to go back to school. You know, I was doing all online and I was barely doing it because I really didn't want to do it, to be honest. So I go into my 9th grade year and it was a lot going on at that time. You know, I lost a family friend to an overdose. My dad lost his best friend named Bullet and to street violence, and that really hurt me too. But I really just want to I want to change really. Like I want to be the change. Like my whole purpose was to change the cycle because there is a cycle and it's hard to get out that cycle. Like it's very, very hard to get out that cycle. Once it happens over and over again, it's bound to happen to you. But like I was saying, 9th grade year, went to school probably a few days out the year. It was still COVID, so we would go one day, not go the other day. Really not doing nothing for me. 10th grade year, I started getting in the streets, started selling, started really skipping school every day, just skipping to skip, not going to school, not thinking about school, all that. And then 11th grade came around, and that was probably like one of the worst years of my life. I lost my other grandma, and then I lost my grandpa a month later. Wasn't going to school that year at all, was lying to my mom, telling her I was going, and I wasn't going at all. And then towards the end of the year, I got into a big fight. Then I got into it with law enforcement. I did not pull over when the law got behind me, and I got in high speed. Thankfully, I got home safely, but still, it was the wrong thing to do, and I regret it every day. But everything happens for a reason in my eyes, whether it's good or bad. I got it tatted on my arm. I believe that forcefully. Everything happens for a reason. But after that, I get into high speed and stuff like that. My aunt gets killed to gun violence, and that really broke me. So I took about 2 to 3 months out the summer, wasn't talking to none of my friends for real, sitting in my room just thinking. I'm like, all I had hope for at that point was hopefully I can get a fresh start, because I don't have the credits to graduate. I never went to high school. I can't play sports really because I never went to high school, don't have no credits, don't get good grades, nothing like that. I'm just like, please, that's all I'm asking for. And then I got a mail in the letter, and it said I got accepted. And it made me feel so good, probably one of the best days in my life. I go get my interview. I get in. We start mental toughness in August. I'm like, this isn't that bad. Like it's not. It's definitely way different than normal high school. It helps you grow and think about things that you're gonna need. You're gonna need after high school. You're gonna need this. You're gonna need that. Job opportunities. It gives you so much help with the whole community. I met new people actually doing things that matter with my life instead of just doing stuff for me. You know what I mean? And it really made me feel better. Made me care about what other people think more, because really, it doesn't always matter about you. Whatever you're doing, you have to think about others too. Really, you really have to. But I got into Fresh Start, and I really started feeling like this was just me. Like, this is my school that I want to go to, like, because this really fits me. Hands-on work, doing things in the community, like, it just fits me. So I really took on that leader role, and I love to see how my leader role has moved across my friends who are still probably not doing the best things with their life, but I motivate them to do better. And that's really what makes me feel good. Now some of my friends got jobs, they're doing things to help their life out. Even though they're not in school no more, they're still doing better for themselves. And that's all I really want, is to motivate my friends and stuff like that. But for my goals, after school, I want to be an AmeriCorps teacher. I want to be an assistant construction teacher, and I want to help them and help other kids just like me, because I know how bad it can get and how hard it can get. So I really want to help other kids like me and be not just a student, but like an influencer to help kids, just like how I'm helping myself, helping my friends and stuff like that. Today is definitely a great day. My dad got out of prison today at 7:45 a.m. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Community Action. Thank you, Fresh Start. Thank you, everybody in this room, because really it has changed my life. Thank you.
I can't do it. I cannot do it. But I am so extremely grateful that you young men have stepped into this room and shared your vulnerability. You've shared your success. I just want to say that we see you, we appreciate you, we speak favor over you. You will live and not die. You will be leaders. You are the future, and we know that our future is bright because of you. I'm gonna ask the staff from Beloit, from Community Action Incorporated and the Fresh Start Youth Build staff, if you will come up and join your young men. I don't know about you all, but I can say that this is the most proud moment of my career ever. I am so glad that we were able to make this day happen. Dr. Howard, I hope you're watching. I know that your tissue is wet with tears, as we all are. I'm gonna also ask, while you all are taking pictures, if Deputy Director George and Division Director Johnson, if you will come up and join this group and present certificates of appreciation to Markai and Riley, and let's show our appreciation for them again. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. I can't wait to buy a house. It would not be me if I didn't do this. Stay right exactly where you are. I got it. Okay, I have to compose myself. Thank you both, and congratulations on your accomplishments this far, as well as your upcoming graduation. We really do see you. We are proud of you, and we applaud you for your courage and for your determination to make a positive difference, not just in your own lives, but in the lives of those around you. So thank you again for being here. We are blessed by your presence. I'm so glad that I get to sit back down and turn the mic back over to Director Johnson, because I need a moment to compose myself. So Sharice, if you'll please come forward.
All that makeup was on my face, it's gone. Oh, amazing, amazing, amazing day. Let's just breathe. Gabrielle, if you were facilitating this meeting, I know you would have a moment of just resting and being calm as we take in everything that we've heard today. It's no way that we can talk about 60 years and celebrate community action and plan for the future and not think about advancing equity. It's just not possible. I had a longer speech to say, but I'm not going to be able to get it out, but I'm going to present to you who our next speaker is, and his name is Dia Harris. Dia Harris brings over 20 years of experience in HR, talent acquisition, training, and diversity, equity, and accessibility leadership to ACF. You all know that this administration, under President Biden, executive order around advancing equity. In ACF and HHS, we've taken that serious. We've done a lot of work across the agency, and today we want to demonstrate that that conversation around advancing equity, diversity, and inclusion is still alive, and we want to be challenged a little bit to think about how do we move this work forward, and that's what Dia is going to do. He has successfully led DEIA programs at multiple organizations and has vast experience designing and delivering training, staff development, and staff recognition programs. He's worked in the private sector, Mr. Harris has worked with companies such as Amazon, Boeing, Johnson & Johnson. I'm not sure what KPMG is, but maybe you'll tell us. American University, Bates College, Lafayette College. He received his undergraduate degree from the Pennsylvania State University, the Brenhard College, and did his graduate work at Virginia Tech. Dia reports to the Assistant Acting Secretary, Jeff Hill, and he drives the implementation of ACF's first Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Now I present to you Mr. Dia Harris.
Talk about lived experience. Thank you. Truly, thank you. You are the reason why I'm here at ACF. You heard my experience where I worked in the corporate sector for about 25 plus years. Only words I can use almost is like dead end. The stuff that I did, I advanced DEIA efforts within the corporate sector with it here in the US. But at the same time, every day I woke up and said, can I do more? Is there an organization out there that is doing more in advancing these efforts and stuff? And I had to take a step back. I was very comfortable in my career and everything. I grew up in North Philadelphia, born and raised in North Philadelphia. A recipient of LAHEAP growing up, was also a student in kindergarten, Head Start. Took full advantage of those, took full advantage of the wraparound services that they offered as well to my family. And so that's how we got LAHEAP. I went to Head Start and they said there's other services we can offer you as well as your family and stuff. And so once again, after being in corporate for 25 years, I had to ask myself, is this where I want to end my career? Is there an organization out here that's made a difference in my life and that's continuing to make a difference in other lives? So I took a step back and said, hey, I'm going to throw my hat in the government organization, but I need to be very particular at the organization that I want to support. And I did my research and I landed here at ACF. So I am the inaugural Chief Equity Officer here at ACF. And that means a lot. There was no pathway laid here for me to follow or anything. And so I am laying the groundwork for our office. And I have 3 amazing senior equity advisors that I work with every day who are helping me lay the groundwork for the equity work that needs to be done here at ACF. Another thing that, that's really important to me growing up as a Black male in North Philadelphia, so a single parent, on my father's side, who I communicate with, I also have a brother that's about 4 months younger than me. And he is spending his life in jail. In the state of Pennsylvania, when you are assigned life in prison, you are spending your life in prison with no opportunity for parole and stuff. So I've seen things like that. And part of me, I'm excited to say that I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And I'm also part of a chair of our mentorship program. So I mentor Black and brown young boys who are middle school to make sure that they have a path and have opportunities that they may not be presented to them. And so I'm excited that I chair that program, and I look forward with working with them every month and exposing them to new things, opportunities that may not exist for them in the community that they grew up in. And so these are things, because of my lived experience, these are things that I'm excited that I can continue to do. And so that's why I chose to be here at ACF. Couple things, and this was not written down or anything like that, but I need to kind of go to what was written down. I want to say, first and foremost, Happy Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I also want to acknowledge Mental Health Awareness Month as well. Once again, as I stated, I am the inaugural Chief Equity Officer here at ACF. I am also an unapologetic Black man who's wearing and my pronouns are he and him, who's wearing a 2-piece burgundy suit with a white and burgundy shirt. I am a medium complected Black male with a short Black fade, as well as a silver goatee. I've embraced my silver in my goatee now, truly. But once again, as I stated, I'm fortunate enough that I was able to take advantage of some of the services that ACF offered me as a child growing up in North Philadelphia, such as, Head Start, as well as LIHEAP programs. A quote I want to start off with by saying, "There is no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about." Advancing equity through community action is an essential endeavor that requires collaboration, empathy, and dedication. Community action fosters inclusivity by empowering marginalized voices. When individuals come together to address systemic issues like discrimination, poverty, or lack of access to education and healthcare, they amplify their collective power. By centering the experience and needs of those most affected, communities can develop more effective solutions that leave no one behind. Community action cultivates empathy and understanding across diverse groups. When people from different backgrounds collaborate on common goals, they break down the barriers and build bridges of mutual respect. Through dialogue, education, and shared experiences, communities can challenge prejudice and stereotypes, fostering a community of empathy that celebrates diversity rather than tearing it down. Community action promotes grassroots leadership and sustainable change. By mobilizing local resources and expertise, communities can develop innovative approaches tailored for specific challenges, whether it's through organized gatherings, creating grassroots initiatives, or advocating for policy change. Community-driven solutions are often more responsive, resilient, and sustainable in the long run. Community action serves as a catalyst for systematic transformation. By challenging unjust structures and advocating for policy reforms, communities can address root causes of inequity and create lasting change at scale. From affordable housing and livable wages to equitable access to quality education and healthcare, community-driven momentums have the power to reshape systems and institutions for the better. Community action fosters solidarity and resilience in the face of adversity. In times of crisis, whether it's a natural disaster or an economic downturn, communities band together to support one another and rebuild stronger than before. Through mutual aid networks, volunteerism, and collective organizing, communities demonstrate the power of solidarity in overcoming challenges and building a more equitable future for all. Advancing equity through community action is not only possible, but it is essential for creating a more just and inclusive society. By empowering marginalized voices, fostering empathy and understanding, promoting grassroots leadership, driving systemic transformation, and fostering solidarity, communities can drive meaningful change that benefits everyone. Let's continue support and uplift community-driven initiative as we work towards a future where equity and justice are not just ideals, but lived realities for all. One of the things that I say, with my office and my individuals on my team will kind of second this, that I always like to tell people, you have been seen, you have been heard. I'm looking forward to the next 60 years to celebrate what we're doing collectively as an organization. So I raise my imaginary glass to say, community action, we see you, and happy 60th.
Thank you so much, Dia. I'm glad that we'll get to hear more from you a little bit later this afternoon. And I would just say that we have a family connection that I cannot wait to share with you after this session is over. Let's thank again our Chief Equity Officer, Dia Harris, for being with us today. Joining us online is someone, before I introduce online, can you all take a look? Technology, can you zoom in on what's taking place in the back of the room? We are really getting the essence of what's happening in the room captured through our graphic recording. Mark, you are doing a phenomenal job. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Joining us online is someone who is well-versed in anti-poverty work. Dr. Catherine Magnuson is the director of the Institute for Research on Poverty and professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison School of Social Work. Her research focuses on the well-being and development of economically disadvantaged children and their families. She examines how disparities in socioeconomic status affect children's development and how these effects may be altered by policies and programs, especially early childhood education programs. She also investigates how maternal education impacts child development. Let's welcome Dr. Magnuson as she speaks to us about addressing poverty as we know we need to continue the fight. Dr. Magnuson?
Thank you so much. And first, let me say I am honored and humbled to be a part of this celebration. It is incredible. And I want to give a special shout out to Marky and Riley down in Beloit or in DC for the day. I'm so proud of you, and Wisconsin is standing with you and behind you. So thank you for your presentations and sharing your stories. I also want to apologize briefly on behalf of whoever thought it was a good idea to have a professor be part of this agenda. But what I really want to do today for the few minutes that I have is just give you some insight into how those of us that are on the research and the evidence building side are really thinking about fighting poverty and how that's shifted a little bit over time. So it turns out the institute that I direct was also born out of the war on poverty. So we were created in 1966 as part of the Office of Economic Opportunity with the mission of creating a group of people who would think deeply and hardly about how to eradicate poverty, both its consequences, its causes, and how to get rid of the deep and persistent poverty that has really shaped our nation since its inception. And I don't need to tell you all that 60 years later, we're still at it and we haven't figured out how to eradicate poverty. Indeed, it is as persistent as many things in our country and really has a deep need for continued attention and research. That said, I think we've learned some things, and I think there are things that many of you, if not all of you, already know. And so I'm actually going to do my professorial thing and share a slide or two. I promise only two. Oh, I have disabled screen sharing. Could someone enable my screen sharing? And what I'll start with is the idea that historically, from the 1960s, there are sort of two perspectives on how to think about eradicating the causes and consequences of poverty. And one very, very predominantly focuses on individuals and families. And it thinks about the types of experiences or opportunities that poverty robs families from the opportunity to share with their children. These programs are sort of, if you will, direct interventions. They're Head Start programs that are making sure that low-income children can get into high-quality preschool classrooms so that they are ready to learn when they enter school. They're job training programs that help youth with employment over the summer so that when they get out of high school, they will have some skills that they can bring to an employer and get a better job than they might otherwise. And those types of interventions, those types of support run by many community action programs around the country are incredibly important to the individuals that they serve. And they are a focus. I'll go without my slides for now, but thank you. I see they're asking if I can share my slides. I'll go without. I'll just keep going because I don't want to take too much of your time. But we have learned something. Those single efforts, those single intervention approaches are not going to fix poverty. They're not going to eradicate poverty. And we know this, and we have learned this by demonstration after demonstration. They will help individuals, but they are not going to get rid of the problem. And part of the reason why we understand is that poverty is not a problem of an individual. It is not a problem of a family. It is not a problem of a social group. It is a problem of our social structures and our communities. And therefore, what we need is not just efforts that help individuals, but efforts that are community-led and community-based to make sure that families have the opportunities that they need, that they have clean water, that they have safe streets, that they have affordable housing, that they have affordable energy sources. These types of structural changes can only be best identified and led by community members. And they are really, really important alongside of individual programs and supports. So the field of poverty studies as a whole, I think, has really shifted from thinking about the intergenerational transmission of poverty as something that's passed from one generation, one family to their children, and now understands it as a social structural challenge that the good news is that together we can confront that. We can think about that, and we can find the strategies and the interventions that are going to effectively say there is more that we can and will do to make sure that communities are thriving, that families are thriving, and that children are thriving. And it is not easy work. It is not easy work, but it's terribly important work. And this is the type of work that happens throughout ACF, but is particularly present in the community action agencies and the Office of Community Supports. And so as someone that teaches social workers, as teaches masters and policy students, and really tries to bridge the distance between that empirical research evidence base and the people who are doing good work on the ground and who need community services. I just want to pile on my tremendous gratitude and thanks for all that the 60 years has accomplished, because it's a lot and there is so much more to do. I'm thrilled to know the areas that you're moving into, the pilot programs, the continued attention, and particularly attention to what communities are telling you they need, because that is really the way that we're going to move forward the emphasis on helping individuals and changing the structures that hold them back. So I'll stop there. Thank you so much for giving me a few minutes to talk.
I feel smarter. So Dr. Magnuson, thank you so much for sharing with us today. We appreciate you. We appreciate your body of work. And we know that with professionals like you in this field helping us, we'll be able to do more than just move the needle. We'll actually be able to make some positive changes in the lives of the children and families that we serve. Can you all join me again in appreciating Dr. Magnuson? We only have one final presentation for you today. And as it plays, I would ask you that if you are committed to continuing the fight, if you're online, I'm going to ask you to drop your name in the chat and say, I am community action. And if you're in the room, I want you to say, I am community action. I think we can create a groundswell of I am community action. Say it with me. I am community action. I am community action. I am community action. I am community action. Waiting for the video. I am community action. I I am community action.
It's a definite landmark time to celebrate the work that has been done over the last 60 years to help those who have no voice to now have a great voice.
Needs change, communities change, and that community action adapts with the needs and times. And I like how it works in the middle of nowhere and as well as in urban areas.
I think it's really the foundation of civil society, to be quite honest with you. I mean, it is the work that literally means we are not leaving anyone behind.
It's about changing lives. We focus on embodying the spirit of hope by offering comprehensive services.
When you walk into a community action agency, you might walk into a building and have a light bill that's past due. You are going to leave with a whole approach to your family and to the services that you need.
For 60 years, we've been the champions for those that really could not champion for themselves. We know what people need. We deal with tornadoes, fires, floods.
The way we step up when there's an economic crisis, when there's a natural disaster or human-caused disaster.
I think back to the early days of the COVID pandemic. A lot of the world shut down. Community action stayed open. They were the agencies putting the food in the back seats of people's cars, making sure that rent payments were made, that families were able to keep the lights on because utility payments were happening.
The history of community action has always been about mobilization. How do you call to action your community to think about the needs of individuals impacted by poverty, and how do you really do something about it?
It's helped strengthen the fibers that we have that advance equity, because we want to make sure that we don't just level the playing field, we want to make sure that everyone is on the playing field.
Watching the individual communities decide what needs to be met and then how they can leverage the CSBG dollars to do that.
You know, people know their communities, they know what they need, and they know how to get there.
Creating multi-tiered solutions to help people raise up out of their situation, whether it's lived environment or systemic challenges.
We are working collectively to ensure that the local needs of our communities are being met.
Growing up as a first-generation American, I remember going to the local community action agency in my neighborhood for my Head Start and for my mother to learn how to coordinate services in a country that was brand new to her.
Being someone who is one generation removed from community action agencies' work in my own family, I am proud of what they do to support families.
Community action is making a difference and helping people and changing lives, and it feels really good to be part of that team.
The stories are endless about the impact that's being made in communities, how people's lives are changing, and really come out of poverty to just live better lives, and that's what it's all about.
The commitment that is seen in community action, the dedication to get the job done.
To be able to bring out everyone's potential and to try to just increase their upward mobility to really build thriving communities.
For me, community action will always be personal. It is your commitment. It is everything that you do day in and day out for our communities. We are making a tangible difference in the lives of those who are most vulnerable all across the country. And with that, I have to say happy 60th anniversary, Community Action.
Happy 60th anniversary, Community Action!
Happy 60th anniversary, Community Action.
Happy 60th anniversary, Community Action.
Happy 60th anniversary, Community Action from the Northwest Side CDC in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
From Arkansas,
Columbia, South Carolina.
From Mid-Michigan Community Action Agency.
From the Diaper Dash program here at SkyCamp.
Happy 60th.
60th anniversary.
Community action.
I know not to start naming names, but there have been so many OCS staff people, some of who are in the room, some are online, across the department, several people who have made this happen today. But I would say on behalf of Dr. Laniqua Howard and the entire OCS team, my sincere appreciation to all who have taken part in this awe-inspiring celebration today. Please know that we see you, we appreciate you, and it is my pleasure to close this out by saying, Happy 60th Anniversary Community Action.